Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into one of history's most absolutely fascinating and influential empires. We're talking about the Abbasid Caliphate and the legendary golden age of the Islamic world. Let's kick things off with a quick thought experiment. What do you think was the greatest city of the medieval world? Seriously, take a second and imagine the bustling intellectual epicenter of the globe during the Middle Ages. Where does your mind naturally go? Does it immediately jump to Europe, or maybe somewhere around the Mediterranean? Well, let's paint a picture of the real answer. Imagine a city where scholars, mathematicians, doctors, astronomers, and translators are actively gathering from across the known world. People literally traveling for months just to swap ideas. This wasn't some grim fortress built for war. It was an absolute powerhouse of intellect. This was Baghdad, the gleaming capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, and a city that stood at the absolute center of a remarkable cultural era for centuries. Section 1. The Abbasid Revolution. So the story really kicks off in the 8th century with a massive revolution against the ruling Umayyad dynasty. The pivotal moment hits in 750 CE at the Battle of the Zab, where the Abbasids definitively defeated the Umayyad forces and claimed the caliphate for themselves. And just 12 years later, in 762 CE, a massive shift occurs. They founded their brand new capital, Baghdad. This rapid sequence of events completely rewired the medieval world. Now, you might be wondering, how did they legitimize this newfound power? Well, the new dynasty claimed direct descent from Al-Abbas, who was an uncle of the Prophet Muhammad. That connection gave them immense religious and political legitimacy right out of the gate, and crucially, they moved their political center eastward, away from the Umayyads' old territories, effectively setting the stage for a brand new geographic era. Section 2. The Rise of Baghdad. The sheer scale of global connection here was staggering. Baghdad was situated perfectly along vital trade routes. From Central Asia, merchants brought silk. From India, they imported spices. From China, they brought paper, which, by the way, was a completely revolutionary, world-changing technology at the time. And from Africa and the Mediterranean, precious metals flowed right in. Baghdad became this massive, bustling hub where the wealth of the world physically intersected. But true wealth wasn't just measured in silk and gold. The Abbasid rulers realized that knowledge was the ultimate currency. They didn't just support trade, they intentionally supported scholars from all backgrounds. They launched massive, empire-wide efforts to translate vital works into Arabic, preserving ancient Greek, Persian, and Sanskrit texts. They were importing the world's wisdom, right alongside its spices. Section 3. The Golden Age and the House of Wisdom. Enter the House of Wisdom. This was a legendary symbol of Baghdad's scholarly culture and intellectual tradition, literally a place where global knowledge was synthesized. Under visionary rulers like Harun al-Rashid and al-Mamun, the state actively funded this research. And it wasn't just a quiet, dusty library, right? It was a dynamic, heavily funded research institute where the brightest minds of the era collaborated to push the boundaries of human understanding. And this collaboration was just incredibly diverse. We're talking Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Persian, and Greek scholars all working together under one roof. The Abbasid Golden Age was a deeply collaborative, multicultural achievement. They embraced a diverse world of learning to achieve a common goal, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. Section 4. Math, Science, and Medicine. Okay, let's dive into one incredible example of what came out of this. The mathematician Al-Khwarizmi helped develop algebra as a systematic discipline. His brilliant work provided mathematical methods that heavily influenced later scholars across the globe. So honestly, whenever you encounter an algebraic equation today, you are directly interacting with the intellectual legacy of Abbasid Baghdad. But it definitely didn't stop at math. Astronomers were meticulously mapping the movements of celestial bodies, fundamentally improving observations and calculations. Meanwhile, physicians and medical scholars were compiling vast amounts of earlier knowledge from older civilizations and then actually expanding on it to create highly advanced medieval medical practices. They were literally shaping the development of medicine for centuries to come. Section 5. The Fall of Baghdad. So the crucial point here is a really fascinating historical paradox. On one side, political control is fracturing. The massive empire became just too difficult to control from Baghdad. Military struggles weakened the central government, and caliphs eventually lost direct control over distant territories. But on the flip side, cultural scholarship remained incredibly robust. Even as the political body of the empire was failing, Baghdad's mind, its thriving, vital center of learning, survived and continued to produce absolutely incredible work. Until this year. 1258 CE. Just let that date sit heavily in your mind for a second. This is one of the most catastrophic dates in the history of human knowledge. It marks the final catastrophe and the devastating arrival of the Mongol army, led by Hulagu. The Mongol army violently besieged and captured the great city, causing the total collapse of the Abbasid political order in Baghdad. It was a brutal, devastating turning point in Islamic history. The shining city of learning was conquered, and centuries of political dominance were violently brought to a halt. But let's trace the timeline of what happened next, because the legacy doesn't just end in complete erasure. 1258 CE was the fall of Baghdad, yes, but by 1261 CE, an Abbasid Caliphate continued in Cairo under Mamluk protection. It survived there as a powerful symbol for centuries until 1517 CE, when the Ottoman conquest of Egypt finally ended it. So while the empire's political power died in Baghdad, its symbolic authority endured for hundreds of years. Section 6. An enduring legacy. Ultimately, the Abbasid Caliphate reminds us that history is built not only by armies and rulers, but by the people who study, discover, translate, and share knowledge. The scholars of Baghdad preserved and transmitted ideas across entirely different civilizations. Without their incredible dedication to learning, countless works of ancient science, philosophy, and literature might have literally been lost forever. So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative question to think about. How does our modern civilization still rely on the knowledge preserved by this fallen medieval empire? Seriously, think about it. Think about the math that powers our computers, the astronomy that guides our satellites, and the foundational practices of the medicine that keeps us healthy. The Abbasid Caliphate isn't just some dusty ancient history. Its achievements are very much alive in our world today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this sparks your curiosity to keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.